Hello, my name is Gary Rochlin. I'm the owner of Blue Sky Energy. And in my episode on the Business Growth Architect, I would like to discuss mentorship and also my insights on directing your energy or your anger strategically in your life and in your business in ways that will benefit you always.
Welcome to the Business Growth Architect Show. I am Beate Chelette. I am the host. I want to welcome you to our globally top 10% ranked podcast, where you will hear from industry experts about the strategies that are working right now to unlock hidden opportunities in any market so that you can grow your authority and scale your impact. And now let's get started with the show. Welcome back, everyone. This is Beate Chelette, the host of the Business Growth Architect Show. And today we are going to talk to Gary Rochlin, the founder and owner of the Blue Sky Energy, which is a company specialized in renewable energy. Gary, I'm excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So for somebody who has never heard about you, will you please just introduce yourself and tell our audience what it is that you do?
We build microgrids. We take renewable energy, primarily solar and batteries, and combine them in making a microgrid, which basically can run 24/7. We do this in residential as well as in commercial environments.
Thank you for that. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because there's something about the way you do business, which is an interesting combination out of a lot of strategy. So you are known to be extremely strategic at everything that you do. But then there's a side about you that people love and admire, and that is your spirituality, your desire to learn, to work on yourself, and to do a lot of personal development. Because this is a podcast that covers both, I want to go into both of these aspects. So, when you think about strategy and spirituality, do you need both? Does one exclude the other? Where are you with those two concepts in business specifically?
I think it's more aligned. I think we do both. It's more aligned with an infinite game. In my current company right now, we're all referral. We don't do any marketing at this point in time. And I think it's because we put the wants and needs of our clients before the dollar. We do good work. We are for profit. We strive to meet our clients' needs as well as grow great people.
When we look back at your career, so you're a serial entrepreneur, have you always been combining the both? Your personal development, your spirituality as well as your strategy, or is that something that developed over time? And the reason I ask is because a lot of people, especially in the internet marketing world, think it's about toys, expensive experiences, private planes, cars, and things like that. So, how did you come to combine these two things in your professional life?
Oh, wow, good question. I basically started off in the real estate business and via the cycles of real estate ended up in the tech sector in the telecom communications area. And I had a successful company. We were doing about 20 million a year. My people in the warehouse were now buying homes. We had 54 employees and an office in Amsterdam. And we had a 360 review done. And I'm up this place called the Centers of Creative Leadership in Colorado Springs. And they bring the envelope out of this 360 review. I'm thinking I'm Gandhi. And I open it, basically, I read it, and it basically said that I was a prick, that I basically created silos. There was dissension within the company, which completely rocked my world. My whole idea of myself had kind of shattered. And then after kind of calming down a little bit, I decided I didn't want to be a prick. So I started doing work. And I've always been very driven and just no means try harder. And I think it was via my past experience with my family and my father and stuff. I was angry, right? Didn't know I was angry, but I was angry. And so started working on that, whereas compared to then and now, I still have anger. I just use it where I need to. And a lot of it's more about control of my own energy and where I put it.
You said something that is really interesting to me because you have a very specific way to look at anger. So, a lot of people, especially men, that have this testosterone driven response to things when it goes wrong, they blow up. Or a lot of people hold things in until they blow up. What's your opinion on how to use anger, is if it is even possible to use it constructively within the constraints of a business? Because if you blow up at your employees, that's trouble for you, because then you can get sued for harassment and for all kinds of things, and toxic work environments and bias and God knows what there is. So how do you manage knowing that you have this temper or this anger? I think we really need to get clear for our audience, because a lot of people feel anger is a bad thing.
Oh, I think after doing many years of work, I realized or came to the understanding that you have to be worth it for me to give you the energy to be angry at you. I consider now anger, when called upon, I'm happy to use it. It's a tool for me instead of something that look, I'm human. The main thing is trying, it's like a sine wave. You want to stay within the middle of the sine wave and stay out of the extremes. But I think you can use it as a tool and a very powerful one.
Are you saying that you're using anger as a strategic tool?
Instead of the anger being shown outwardly, I can actually grab onto it and it makes me more powerful. So that energy that I'm giving someone else, I can use to make myself stronger or control it. It's pretty cool. I finished a project about 11 years ago, and it's a solar farm up in New Mexico. You think in the solar industry, everyone wants to hug a tree. Well, not really. Basically, if you can own one of these sites, it's like having an apartment building with one tenant and no toilets. It's a cutthroat industry. In this project, we had some tax credits and some other stuff, and we lost our financing. And during that process of going out and finding new financing, while we already owned the land and we were under construction, we had other firms that would come in and snuggle up to you. And then at the end of the day, they would basically try to steal your project, which happened on 2 occasions. At the end of this, I was angry. We won the war. We finished the project. We did a sale leaseback. We're in the process of possibly getting it back. Now, I was sitting in front of my kids. They're watching TV, and I'm still fighting. After 3-4 months of this, I'm still fighting the battle. I realized that, whoa, this is a moment. Right? I can't shake it. I think I got so high on the adrenaline of it that I went to this thing called the Hoffman process, which if you want to be taken apart and put back together, it's a pretty good place to do it. Yeah. And in this, I basically was able to really kind of go deep. I had done some work regarding abuse from my father, and basically made me angry. He was a doc. Last thing in the world I wanted to be was a doctor at that point in time. So I became an entrepreneur. I'm not sure which is easier. I was able to actually, through the Hoffman process and understanding patterns and stuff, I was able to actually forgive him, which freed me 100%, I thought. So, and then continued to do more work. During that process, I'm on the board of Entrepreneurs Organization in Los Angeles. It's a great organization. And through that, I started wanting to give back. Currently, the past 2 years, I've run their accelerator program and currently run their mentorship program. And I've been involved in the board, and it's been kind of my way of giving back, which is kind of cool, besides other ways as well. But that's been the main source.
I want to just break it down for our listeners. We're really addressing an issue here about entrepreneurship and human nature behavior. I think what you're saying is that we are trained by society to always stay in this perfect lane of no emotion and cool as cucumbers and take all the hits. But you're sharing that it's okay to be angry. You're sharing that it's okay to take the anger and direct it in such a way deliberately. That means that you have to do the work, the personal work, to figure out where this anger is coming from and then learn to control it without it running you. You are kind of running it. Am I understanding this correctly?
Absolutely, 100%. I think the one word that we didn't bring into this was being aware, right? Being aware of your emotions, being aware of what you're feeling. And if you have that feeling, then you can do something about it cognitively. So you're, basically in control. If you like negotiation, which I do, you can use it to your advantage. I did it the other day with a contractor kind of going off on a site, and I just walked away. Number one, you're not going to engage. And then when they calm down, then we just had a laugh about it. But I think the awareness and continuously getting to know oneself And what does that mean? Yes, I mean, it's pretty cool. I think it's also good for those around you, your loved ones as well.
This particular wisdom we're talking about, this wisdom of the inner work, the understanding the trauma, the understanding the awareness of what happened, and then the ability to redirect it. So that's one thing. I know that a lot of people that are in your circle consider you the wise guy, and they come to you with all kinds of things of advice. How long does it take for somebody to get themselves once they kind of notice, hey, there's something I may need to look at to get to a point where you have that serenity that you have? How long does it take?
I don't know. It was a 15-year journey for me. Um, so, I mean, I guess it really depends on in the individual and the want, right? So I never really kind of stopped working on myself. The giving back has also enabled me, and in running these programs, I really I want nothing more for them to succeed, and I want nothing in return, right? I'm doing it for the sake of helping someone out, which is, I think, rare. I mean, everyone wants to give and expect. And in the people that we've mentored or the people that we've helped start their businesses and get them moving forward, they do the work. But the only thing that I ask is that when the time comes, that they play it forward and not pay it forward, play it forward. There is no monetary value other than giving. And then if they do that and the other people, that these people now do the same thing, it's a ripple effect. People helping people, which is great.
I love that. So we will be right back after this quick message and dive into this concept of giving back. Are you looking for the hidden opportunities for you in this market? Or are you simply wanting to figure out what is your unique differentiation factor that makes clients want to work with you and not your competitors? If this resonates, I want to invite you to go to uncoverysession.com and schedule your 15-minute complimentary uncovery session with one of our business growth advisors that will take you through what your number one business growth blocker is, what you can do to remove it, and what your very best next step should be. And now let's get back to the show. Welcome back. Beate Chelette, your host from the Business Growth Architect Show, here with Gary Rochlin from Blue Sky Energy, talking about some concepts around giving back. Now, this giving back idea. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. So I know people that are using it as a kind of like spiritual menu that they want to order. So they go, I'm going to be supporting this cause because I know that the principle of reciprocity, the law of reciprocity, if I give, I get back. How do you look at this law of reciprocity at giving?
I don't really look at it that way. I give and I seem to get back, but I have no expectations. I think that we want people to grow. I mean, I want people to thrive. So, like, even in my own company right now, is that if I have someone that I've hired and now they're going to leave us and they're now an electrician, then I've done my job, right? I want them to grow. I want them to thrive. Right. And I think it's kind of aligned with, several of the books that are out there. The Infinite Game, we've been doing kind of the Infinite Game. We didn't know we were doing it, but I think in reading that book by Simon Sinek, it kind of gives you the idea of, even in your work, being honorable or wanting people to succeed, and the message and the passion behind your company to move forward, even when you're gone, or in building sustainable or giving away a solar system for a community center, that then a community center can then move on. And they're also doing outreach and helping people improve. And there's several books. There's another one out, The 15 Steps of Conscious Leadership, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I think all these books can get you to where you're thinking differently. And even if you pick up a kernel out of one at this time, and then you pick it up later, it adds to your toolbox and how to deal with things.
I find that absolutely fascinating. We see this a lot in our work. I think you have to be called either through an event, a trigger event, or because you're pushing so hard and you're just not getting there on yourself. There has to be a surrender moment for you to step into something to feel that intuitive call. Do you think that we, as a human with our brain that does all these funky things to us, that we need this initiation by something that really, really goes bad or that we can't shake? an event? Or do you think there's a better way to slip into that? And I don't know if I've formulated this right, but I wonder if we can give this message to our listeners to say, hey, you don't have to wait until everything goes down in and breaks. But if you're feeling the call, you can step into it in a gentler way. So, is there any way for you to answer that really?
Look, different societies or people have different ceremonies, bar mitzvahs, confirmations of people going from childhood or adolescence to adulthood. I think we can choose what we want. If we can make our goals and figure out where we're going, well, then usually if you place it out there and you will be drawn towards it. On our first solar farm, yeah, this is exactly what happened. I put it out there 2 years prior, and I said, I'd like to build one of these things. And then the opportunity presented itself 2 years later. So you just don't know when it's going to happen. There's also things that can help you augment that as well. Recently, I've just kind of dabbled in doing some journeys and stuff with ayahuasca. And I think these things basically are healing medicines that enable you to, one, bring you back to loving yourself, taking care of yourself, realizing that love is pretty much the solution to anything in your family situations. And as well as, again, reiterating the fact of helping people for nothing other than the expectation of helping them and making them and enabling them to move forward if they choose to. So I think we have all these modalities that are now becoming more mainstream or a little bit on the edge, but I think they bring people back to healing. We all went through some trauma, some more than others, but actually, if that's holding us back, forgiving, right, so that we can become our own people. And I think joy and wisdom, and find your calling if you can, and if not, so then at least enjoy the journey.
So my question is, as somebody who is now on this podcast and he's listening to this and says, "Yeah, that sounds all nice and good that you play it forward and then as a as the universe rewards you for giving without any expectations, that's good for you. But I have to work hard. I have to hustle. I have to make stuff happen. I have a mortgage or rent or whatever to pay." Is it necessary to work hard?
Definitely. But I think you can work smart as well. I think in working hard, if you can actually take a look at things sometimes and look at it from another angle, then if you can make your work more bearable or actually make your work more fun, for me, actually, which is a little bit much, I get a little obsessive, a little OCD. I think you need to work hard, but you also need to take time off to take care of yourself and those who love you.
Have you always been able to do that? Is it a process as well that, especially for people that have had trauma, that they need to learn that it's okay to give to themselves, that they don't have to spend themselves or overgive to other people? Is that a process? Was that a process for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have an ability to get hyper focused. So I need to be able to catch myself and pull myself out when I know what I'm doing. I can do it for a while, but then the main thing is being aware of what I'm doing because again, we can via the awareness completely control the situation, but if we get so hyper focused, we can catch ourselves. And even if we just take a breath or take two breaths, we can usually bring ourselves back to center. And I'm an A personality. I'm a driver. The saying goes, what do you get when you analyze a schmuck? You get an analyzed schmuck. So yeah, I think life is good, and it's up to you to make it that way.
Why is mentorship so important to you?
Well, I like seeing the lights go on. I like seeing them try something new and fail and succeed, and then move on. I didn't have a mentor. And so when people said I would be a good mentor, I was kind of surprised. But then it kind of fit me. And so I just really love doing it.
So in this mentorship, so you mentioned that you're part of the entrepreneur organization. I would like to just spend a second there and talk about what the entrepreneur organization is because it's an international organization. I know you're on the board. You've been on the board for a couple of years or for quite some time. So when does a group like an entrepreneur organization come into play for someone?
We can go to business school and I can learn maybe some accounting. I can learn, what a P&L is. I can learn basically what marketing is. But it doesn't teach you how to lead, how to run a company, what you're looking for, and what's important to you and making sure that your company is successful. So obviously, understanding basic accounting, But I think it's the people factor as well that really matters. How do you motivate people? And the entrepreneurs program within LA clearly gives you that opportunity with learning events and your forum. And most of your friends who aren't entrepreneurs have no idea what you're going through. It kind of gives you your own board of directors. And no matter what, whether you have a lifestyle business or you're trying to scale and sell, it's still a great community to be involved in.
Absolutely. And for full disclosure, I am an accelerator coach in the entrepreneur organization and equally really enjoy shepherding people to the $1 million mark so that they then can become full members and then take advantage of the organization as a whole because it has places all over the world. So now I want to ask you next about what's your spiritual practice? So what do you do to stay in that sense of alignment?
I pretty much every morning I make a cup of coffee and I sit down and I meditate for about 20 minutes. That kind of brings me down to center. I think my decisions right now are based off of being fair and non-judgmental. So I try, but again, I'm human. So there's always something that comes up, or I get a feeling that on a client I need to be cautious in the way they're acting. But I think kind of being open-minded on a spiritual basis, even dealing with my guys, I don't really get angry with them, but I certainly ask them what were they thinking when they made the mistake. So I'm trying to get them to think. I want them to succeed.
What's your big vision for yourself?
My big vision for myself. I would say right now would be doing more pro bono projects. Right now, working on a project down in just helping someone in the Amazon in bringing power to some of the villages. That's a pro bono project. Designing projects for nonprofits and then raising money. I hopefully have the ability to retire in the next 2 years. At least that's what the plan is. But I don't think that means stopping work. It just means doing more of the work that I like.
Did you choose renewable energy for a reason? Was this a deliberate choice? And if it was, why?
Yeah, I had a telecom company before this, a successful one. We ended up closing it down. I've always been a builder, so I built a house. And during that process, solar panels were starting to becoming more popular. And I was in the garage of the house and I was eating my lunch on the panel, and 2 weeks later I was cooking my dinner with it, and said, "Oh, there's a business here," and I've been involved in this particular business for 15 years. And the previous one, we sold off portions of it and closed portions of it. I was involved in that for 10 years, and before that, it was in building. So, yeah, I think it was a cognate choice. It kind of meet kind of melded my finance background with a bit of with a building background and also being very creative.
Thank you for that. And so, for somebody who now wants to get in touch with you, where would we send them?
You can go to our website, blueskyenergy.solar, and then our contact information is there.
Excellent. And what advice would you give to somebody who's now listened to this, who either might be looking for a mentor or might be wanting to be a mentor? How can they get started?
Ask for help. There's some programs if you're doing 250,000, between 250 and a million. The accelerator program in Los Angeles or the Valley or EO North are great programs. And also there's other ones around. Score, get a mentor, but just don't be afraid to ask.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, this has been very enlightening. I appreciate you being on the show and sharing with us some of your secrets on controlling anger and really giving freely without an expectation of return, which really ties into a lot of the spiritual concepts. Do you think, as my final question to you, that when you step into this more spiritual aspect, does it become easier?
Yes. You have a lot more patience. You can pause. You can think on the moment. I find that I think faster nowadays than before. You're able to kind of wrap your head around things and figure out where you want to go. So it's kind of awareness with a wide angle lens.
Awareness with a wide angle lens, and that's my keyword here to close this interview. Again, thank you so much for being here. All the details are going to be in the show notes. Everyone, thank you so much for your time, for watching or listening to the Business Growth Architect Show. Remember to please share this episode with one other person who needs to hear what we talked about today. And until next time. Thank you for listening to or watching the show. We are so excited that you're here and we are very grateful for you. Now it's our turn to ask you for help. Please do share this episode with one other person that needs to hear what we were talking about today. If there's any question you have about business, please do reach out to us and let us know. And don't forget to schedule your complimentary Uncovery session at uncoverysession.com, where one of our business growth advisors will help you to figure out what your number one business growth blocker is in only 15 minutes. And that's it for us today. Until next time.